Shine. It's your morning marijuana motivation time. That sun is something else, bro. You wouldn't believe that this was a thunderstorm a second ago, but it's nice and bright here in Vietnam. This is going to the theme of the day as being unstoppable. There will be storms that will shit upon you, destroy your whole life, wreck your whole ship, and then there will be a bright sunny day literally right after it. And we talked about it last night, and my buddy's like, "What do you think there's something about you, something that you've done to have it happen to you?" And I was just thinking, being a lightning rod my whole life, it was something that maybe I'm stubborn or maybe it's a lemony stickets of events, but this is Saint's Addiction for a reason. Leg out, let's go. So here at the gym, my local gym, tape around the. Oh, look, there's a beautiful yellow butterfly that keeps flying around. Thank you for that. Tape on the dumbbells, concrete for the wood. I'm gonna stretch out my back and have this conversation with y'all. So we talked about it last night. Being unstoppable, having life crash you upon the rocks, and then still being survivable. It's never fun to have bad things happen. But as I was telling my friend, they do. Oh, yeah. And this fucking. Oh, oh, fuck yeah. This life is a challenge. I don't know who else is challenge free or sucker free or chaos free, but it happens to everybody. Life happens to us, and how we respond dictates the response. It's always something. It's a lemony snickets of events. It's things you don't expect. It's the bumps in the road that create the curves in your story. And in my story, I've had a lot of different situations happen to me, and then I happen to it. I happen to my own life. I determine it. I determine my reaction, my attitude, and my destinations. What happens at the destinations is literally what is outside of my control. I don't control the weather. I control my attitude. I don't control other people. I control my friend group, and I don't control what circumstances happen, but I control my character. And I mean literally my character, my content of character, and this character in the life. You're the main character in your life, and you're going to have to be the one that dictates what happens in your life. Oh, yeah, nice and in the back, nice and in the back. Oh, it's a difficult situation sometimes. And sometimes difficult situations happen to good people, bad people. It's not exactly like it's predictable. And that's why you have to be unstoppable. There's going to be things that test you, test your strength, test your self-worth, test your resilience. And this is why I'm having this conversation this morning, because being unstoppable, it's one thing to say that you're unstoppable. It's another thing to be unstoppable. So it didn't matter if it was South Korean prison. It didn't matter if it was Mexican prison. It didn't matter if it was poverty. You can look in the face of adversity and say, I'm unstoppable. I'm going to keep moving ahead no matter what happens. And I've told some stories to my friends, and they're like, "You did what again?" And telling to my business partners, some things, and sharing our life stories with each other. And the truth is a lot of people have stories to tell, that things that you didn't want to happen to you come to your life to challenge you. And in those challenges, you develop your character. You say, hey, I'm going to be this type of way. I'm going to, no matter what happens today, I'm going to be this way. And that's being unstoppable. That's being indestructible, indomitable, somebody that can take a punch in the face and still smile at you. That's a scary individual, somebody that can keep smiling even in the face of adversity, and say, do your worst for I will do mine. And that's the challenge of our lives, is to say, can I take a challenge and grin and bear it, or am I the type of person that folds like a lawn chair and it literally collapses me? Your choice is really up to you, and so's your destination if you choose. Oh shit, there's a lizard over here. Hold on a second, I just peeped it. Thank you for the like. I saw you. You see this one right here by the wood step? Do you see it? Can you see this guy? Can you see this? Look at him. It's a fucking dinosaur, bud. Hi, buddy. Yeah. And that's what it is. So you can be the type of person. Look, these guys are watching me while they're eating. All the staff are eating over here. They're like, what's he doing? And I'm being me unabashedly, no shame in the game. Just being somebody that just says, hey, yeah, I've been to prison multiple times. And yeah, I've been incarcerated. And yeah, I've been arrested. And things that happen in my life are far more interesting than the stares of strangers, or um, the punchline in a joke, or the sad limity snippets of events that have taken or have occurred. I just keep moving forward. And I was having kind of an argument with Miles last night, and he was like, well, you shouldn't have overstayed and all these other things. And I was like, yeah, but you don't know that I've applied and went into the police station for extensions, and that they don't do extensions. What's up, Lee Kim? I see you, brother. Thank you for checking in. And that you can plan all you want and watch all the itinerary just burn in front of you. And I was expecting to go this way. First you go right, then you go wrong. And you don't want things to go wrong. None of us do, but that's part of life. Just like these clouds, just like a cloud went over the sun just now. You don't get to control the weather. You don't get to control the winds, but you're on a boat floating anyway. You're on the ocean, and what dreams may come, or what port you may pull into is not really up to you. What is up to you, Lao Tao Kun, as they say in Thailand, but this is Vietnam. It's up to you how you treat your life. Your attitude would determine everything. My friend was getting like, well, you should have done this and you should have done that. And I was like, thank you, Captain Obvious. But it's easier for me to say something for someone else. We're always full of advice and analytics and constructive criticism for someone else's life. But when it's you and you're in love with a girl and they're like, you should leave that girl, but of course it's your emotions involved, so you don't want to leave that individual or break up that relationship. You feel emotional attachment to it. It's easier for someone that's not emotionally involved to criticize a situation that they're not involved in, and they're not responsible nor accountable for how it ends. So it's easy to say to somebody, oh, I would have never gone to prison, I would have never gone to jail, I would have never done any of these things. And that's all bullshit, because they have done those things. They have made mistakes, they have had pitfalls in their life, they've had situations that they didn't want it to be that way, and it went that way. And now you're going in that direction, and how long you stay on that path is totally up to you. And that's why I love that up to you, Lao Tao Kun, to be able to say up to me how I harness my chi and focus my energy and make my life into a reality of things, that the destinations that I want to go, and the people that I want to meet, and how long I want to know them for. Those are my own decisions. And a lot of us have been in a situation where we're not accountable for it. We don't become responsible citizens to the choices that we make, and therefore you become stoppable by the things that you decided to do, instead of deciding a different way to do it. And like a lot of things are easier to say than done. Easy for someone to come up and criticize your life and be like, oh, I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have overstayed, I wouldn't have dated that girl, I wouldn't have made that mistake. But I'm a mistake master. You're gonna have to be willing to look foolish to the crowd. You're gonna have to get some dirt on your hands, and you're gonna have to get in the mix. This is where we find out what we're really made out of. This recipe for success has failure in it. Mistakes are riddled all in it, and it's not exactly the prettiest pie that you can make. But love you too. I love you, Vietnam. Thank you very much, bro. I appreciate that. And even Vietnam being as wacky as it is, the traffic is out of control. The weather is out of control. I can't control how many people are in the street. I come here and I actually saw one other person living here, but it's basically us three in this whole bungalow system. It's pretty crazy, but I don't get to choose these things. I get to choose my mood. And I keep trying to tell people to be unstoppable. You're going to have to pre-program yourself to be like, I'm not going to jump into arguments with a friend. Yep. And get frustrated. I remember every day yesterday, every time I try to leave a voicemail and do some phone calls, it seemed like every time I picked up the phone, another motorbike went by, another fucking distraction took place, and then or the staff gets loud, or somebody interrupts, and you're just like, why is this happening to me? Why did these things happen to me? And you could spend your whole life going like, not then, not then, like I saw in Turkey, not then, not then. Why is this happening to me? Why is my life so chaotic? And do I have the chaos symbol on me? And I had that chaos symbol up on my wall since I was a kid. I literally was, 12 years old, and I saw this I Ching symbol. I could draw it out. But it says, before the beginning of great brilliance, there must be chaos. Before a brilliant person performs something great, they must look foolish to the crowd. And most of us don't want to look foolish. We want to double clutch. What will other people think? How would they judge me? How would they treat me after I've made these decisions? And that's purely hyperbole. Like that's just an external situation, because as soon as that person walked by and gave you the eye, they're just one person that's judgmentally going by, and then they've gone by. It's water under the bridge. And we talked about this old adage of you'll never see this part of the river again. Once it's behind you, only a fool trips over something that's behind them. It's in the rear view mirror. It's already happened. So regardless of someone else's opinion or what they would have done, it's you driving the car. So it's like, it's easy to be Captain Obvious or come around and be like, I wouldn't have gotten that accident. I wouldn't have done it that way. I wouldn't have reacted that way. It's not really for you to say. Like you weren't the one making the chess moves. So we all make intricate chess moves, and we can't take them back. We can't rewind. We can't undo. And oh, well, now I dropped my queen, so let me go back 4 or 5 moves. It's already done. So whether people like the outcome or whatever has happened, it's already happened. That water is already under the bridge. It's already down the river, and there's nothing to do but you can't chase that one piece of water, that one droplet, that one time frame again. It's out of frame, it's out of pocket, and traffic will still go by. Here's a new day, and all you can do is seize the day now, like they say, c'est la vie, or such is life, or carpe diem. Seize the day. This is your only options. That's the only play you got, is what you're going to do today. And that's how you become unstoppable. That's how you become indomitable. That's how you keep being undestructible, because one of those things is that life will bring you, my friend, a very bad day, and you can smile in the face of it and say, not today, Satan, not today. And a lot of us are going to have to be that way. It's like, I'm not going to let anything stop me. Not prison, not an ex-girlfriend, not dead babies. I'm going to be the type of person that's just going to be like, that's par for the course. I missed a couple shots. I mulliganed. I'm off the rough. I'm in the sand. I even threw my ball in the water. Tough titties, committees. You're gonna have to be tough. Life can be tough on us, and that's what they said. That which doesn't kill us makes us stronger. That's why I was explaining this makes me undominable, unstoppable, indestructible. And this is a really tough task that I think most people would have collapsed under the pressures that I've been in, and financial situations, or when I was looking at mytrip.com and they weren't going to refund me. There goes $409 like this. And I didn't plan for the Schengen area to evict me and ban me for 3 years. And I don't expect that the women that I have sex with will kill my babies, but it's happened. We don't want these worst case scenarios to go down. But if we look around, and I see another butterfly. There was a yellow one. Now there's a gray one. Last night there was a big black one. There's a lizard over here. And I could use today to look at things that are on the bright side, the sunshine, and not the chaos of the noise and the things that are behind me, right? That's behind me. I can choose to focus on what's inside me. And if I have the right attitude, if I smile and keep looking for the good in everything, and realizing that today is the best day of my life. I'm alive. I could easily be in a hospital. I could easily reframe it in my mind as something that could be worse. I'm not in prison, right? Like I can open the door when I want to. I can eat what I want to. And in that's the blessing. It's that attitude of gratitude, because most people, they don't want to be gracious. They don't want to be grateful. They don't want to be accountable. They want to blame, shift energy towards who's to blame and who's wrong and what went wrong. I told my friend, it's not the why, it's the how. How are you going to get past this? How are we going to move forward? How is this going to change my attitude? And this is the key element, the how, not the why. We spend so much time on why we're doing what we're doing and why this happened to me and what's going to happen because of the scenario, instead of what am I going to do about it? How am I going to be the best version of me, and how am I going to keep a better attitude no matter what ends up happening? So it's really a mood switch. It's like auto tune, right? You got to auto mood yourself and say, okay, mood, I want to be in the right attitude. I want to be in the right frame. I'm not going to let the motorbikes running by annoy me. I'm not going to dwell in the past. I think everybody would say that we put so much energy instead of the power of now and being grateful what we have now. We'll have the attitude. What's up, man? Say what's up. He's in there, bro. You get the power of now instead of living in the past or living in the future. We like to future fake ourselves and be like, yeah, well, everything's going to be all right in the future. Don't worry about it. I'm going somewhere else. This is a whole nother level to, I'm just thinking about the past still, about my prison time or babies being lost or broken hearts. And that's, this too shall pass. That's one of my favorite biblical sayings, and I'm not very biblical, but it's one of those situations where you get to say to yourself, this is me. This is my journey. It's not like anyone else's. It will never be like anyone else. You are the only you in the whole entire universe. This is your story, and you're writing it. So as of right now, I'm writing that the sunshine out. There's only a little bit of clouds. There was thunderstorms before, but it isn't right now. And right now I keep a good mood where I get to meet up with my team. As soon as Miles wakes up, we'll be right here, living the dream, making the business a reality, and living in the now versus somebody that was just like, oh, dude, everything's gone bad. I don't like the way that my life is. I'm bored. I'm spiteful. I'm ungrateful. And if you're going to go be that type of person, well, guess what? You're going to have a long day. Without being the type of person that can control their own mood and their own attitude, that's going to be a long day. And if you want to make it harder on yourself instead of being indestructible, then you basically destroy yourself. You destroy your spirit, you destroy your ambitions, you destroy your momentum. But if you're in the now, all of a sudden you're more powerful. You're like, okay, I'm here right now. I'm not in jail. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am wise. I am rich. I am progressive. I am going to move forward despite what has happened to me or what I've happened to myself, right? There goes some of those motorbikes I've been talking about. We can be the type of person that has and perceives that these things are happening to me or they're happening for me. A lot of people like to think that life happens to them, but you're happening to your life. You're the one engaging with it with an attitude and a perspective unlike anyone else. So if you want to see it the way that you want to see it, that's the way you're going to believe it. You're going to be in your head all the day going like, oh no, it's going to rain again. Well, it's not raining right now, and what are you going to do in between the raindrops? And I was just talking with one of my friends, and he was in Ibiza, and it was like, yo, we hit the sweet spot. It was like fucking crazy rain. The toilets were overflowing. I know for sure when I was in Vietnam, the water was above my knees, bro. I was just like, this is all crazy, but I don't control the weather. I control my attitude. And as soon as I went home, I washed myself off with my clothes, let them dry. I got food in hand. I was like, I can still be alive as long as I get to take take it day by day, which is a big AA meeting philosophy, one day at a time, instead of all these days behind me that have been horrible and I wasn't enjoying myself and I was full of stress. That stress doesn't exist right here, right now. As I do my testicles, spectacles, wallet, and watch, that's not here right now. What's here right now is an unstoppable attitude, a person that refuses to lose and wants to be as much as I can be, get from all my energies, from all of life, and being able to say, I love my life. I love my life. And regardless of what has happened in the past or how I feel inside, I get to decide and make an actual decision to say, do I allow those things that happened before destroy my inner peace? The only thing that I have left, I think of Nelson Mandela going into prison, right? And doing these things in the prison for like 30 years for apartheid in South Africa, and he lived in his mind. He didn't live in the prison. He didn't live in that reality. He lived inside of his mind and made sure that he had everything that he wanted to have. The only thing he can control was his mental stability. And a lot of us, we don't even fucking do that right. We just let somebody else do something else to control us and go, oh, I would feel this way if this happened to me, or I would react this way if that had happened. You can be that type of person. You can be all reactions, you know what I mean? Or you can control your emotions. You can be the type of person that says, I'm not in this prison. The prison's around me. And that's what I think of Nelson Mandela. That's how I feel about my situations. Is like, I don't know how long ago South Korean prison was. I don't even want to calculate it. I know it's in the past. I know it's in my rearview mirror, and I know it's not today. And as this wind blows the trees around me, you know what I mean? In this beautiful resort that we're staying in, this is what I got. I got only today to be the master and commander of my ship, to say what destination I'm going to do and what I'm going to do with my energy. Because you can only get about 8 hours, right? You got 8 hours to sleep, 8 hours to work, and 8 hours to shit and believe. That 8 hours to be max potential, max abilities, and maximize your energy. That's all you're gonna get. You're not gonna get another day. The day hasn't come. The future's not now. So why even put any energy towards it? What you plant today will grow tomorrow, and all you have to worry about is putting the seed in the ground today, because that's what's going to grow. And then you can sit under the shade of your hard labor like I am right now and say, okay, there's a reason why I got, a banned from Europe or been through some prison scenarios or have lost some babies. I can always come here and say, my friend's going like, fuck you. It's cold here in Finland. He's jealous of what's going on with me. And I'm just like, yeah, don't be jealous. Join me. We all make decisions of, do we stay in our same position, or do we activate ourselves? This chick's always so fucking loud. Or do we activate ourselves and go, this is my new reality. I want to be in something that is progressive for me, something I can thank myself for, like a tree that's growing and the sun that's shining, versus all the stormy weathers that occurred earlier today. And I was still in bed and I didn't see any of it, didn't feel any of it, but I heard the thunderstorms. I heard the lightning. I felt the shaking of the buildings, The world will do that to us sometimes. It will shake our foundation and really scare us and be like, oh shit, something's not working out like the way we want it to. Or we can be on the perspective that this too shall pass, and what I do in the now will echo into the future. And that's what I want people to do. I want them to echo into the future, that in the future that they'll be in a different destination. In the future they will have different feelings, and watch their mood change along that timeline. You'll be like, man, I was so angry at that person, and then with a little bit of information, all of a sudden they understood, and then the anger just dissipates. It was such a strong force for them. Always, this chick's so loud, I told you that. It's always that situation where you're in your head and you go like, why was I acting that way? Why did I respond that way? Why was I so angry? And it's like, yeah, anger's an addiction. It can take over your whole being, and then you'll be so frustrated, and then with a little piece of information it can dissipate just just like that. And then you're like, why did I participate so hard? Why was that the wind in my sails? It wasn't even actual wind. And just like this shine, yeah, sure, it's sunshiny till a cloud comes over it, or till the thunderstorms come by. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to come. Storms will come, my friends, and it's unfortunate but true. But how you dictate your mood will change everything about you. It will change everything that you've ever fundamentally seen. You will see with new eyes. They say real eyes, realize, realize. Well, I can realize that that's sunshine right now, but I also know what a cloud looks like. I also know what a storm looks like, and I also know that a storm will pass. So these are choices that we hold inside. It's a very powerful thing to be powerfully inclined to yourself and say, okay, hey, self, I'm not going to let something rock my ship. Sure, that's what the ocean does, and might even happen. But guess what? You can go to a new port. You can meet new people, and there will be new weather. It can't always be sunny, and it can't always be stormy. And those things are interactive, interchangeable. But my mood is the one that I choose. The way that I perceive is the way that I believe. And seeing is believing. So if you want to be the type of person, if if you can believe it, you can achieve it. That's some Napoleon Hill shit right there. And also, like, don't let it beat you up anymore. It's already in the past. I'm not in prison anymore. So that means I'm not in a prison in my mind, and therefore I am free and unstoppable being. If I let it do it, and then I let it harm me more, as if it's not enough to be behind prison doors, there's going to be times where you're just going to let it beat you up and be like, why am I here? And why'd this happen to me? And not then, not then. Or you're going to be the type of person, not for long. I used to say, that's when I told my friend the other day, do you know what the NFL stands for? My dad will tell you, not for long if you keep playing that way. If you keep playing yourself, congratulations, you played yourself. If you keep playing yourself in your mind and going like torturing yourself past the breakup or past the prison time, it's like, why would I let it bleed into this now? Why would I let that affect me to this day when I can be free, mentally free, meant from mental slavery? And that's kind of what I believe Bob Marley was saying about mental slavery. It's like this extra torture that we give ourselves in our brains when we can be unstoppable. We can be like, yeah, sure, that's happening right now, but eventually I'll be out. Eventually this prison sentence ends. And then one day when I'm free, I'm going to go to an island. And I did. I was incarcerated with fucking cartel members. And I was just like, I could be in Thailand. And sure as shit, they let me go on that Friday out in the midnight in the middle of nowhere. I had nowhere else to go. Had no car, no direction, didn't even know where to go. And I had to buy like an $83 Uber just to get back to Las Vegas. All these things happened to me. But guess what? I was free. And the next thing I know, I was booking tickets to Thailand because they can't keep me. Only you can keep your mind in shape. Only you can keep your mind in perspective and something healthy instead of something that's really destructive and keeps you in a bad mood or keeps you a victim or keeps you in a lost mentality. You can be unstoppable and be like, yeah, that happened to me and I'm still standing here, still strong. So it's one of those things that's like, when you look at a man and you look him in the eyes, you can see what he's made of. You can see that cheap tricks won't work on him. And little hiccups won't stop them. And no matter what goes on in their life, they will still stand tall like a tree and say, is that all you got for me? Because I'm going to do your worst, for I will do mine. And that's exactly the mentality that I'm talking about this morning. So be unstoppable, be indomitable, be indestructible, be the type of person that no matter what happens, and the life will punch you in the face and right in the teeth, and even with the blood and your teeth falling out of your mouth, you go, is that all you got? Is that all you got? Because I got more inside of me. And that's this morning motivation. If you got anything out of this, you already know. Like, share, and subscribe below. And as always, peace and love. And Chigatan. That means goodbye, but not forever in Phoenix, even though I'm in Vietnam. It's time to be unstoppable. And I want you to go into your life and say, what do I allow to stop me? Why do I allow it to stop me? And how do I get past it indomitably? If you can say that word 3 times fast, indomitably. So that's a peace and love. I'll see you on the other side as soon as you like, share, and subscribe. But the other side of your fear, the other side of your excuses, and the other side of the world, because that's where I be. Peace.
Yes, blast.